Hello. Thank you all for joining us. We're very excited to have an awesome team from Informa with us to talk about how to drive successful events, especially in this crazy, turbulent, changing time. Our inspiration for this was the incredible results we've seen them achieve. They've pushed not only our technology, but driven a lot of innovation themselves. This has been across 1,200 events. We've seen 425,000 attendees. And with InGo, they've reached 100 million of their connections, those attendees' connections, inviting them to join them at events, driving 250,000 clicks, not to mention millions of likes and impressions, yielding over 100,000 acquisitions. But they've done even more. So let's introduce our two key leaders at Informa, who are driving much of the innovation across their conference division and across their healthcare shows. So Isabel, will you start with a brief intro, who you are, what you do, and the thing you love most about events?
Sure. Hi, Michael. Hi, everybody. My name is Isabel Peck. I'm the Chief Digital Officer for Informa Connect. I've been with the industry many, many years, about 30 years this year. I currently work on driving forward our digital strategy across Informa Connect, making sure that our platforms are fit for purpose and that we're approaching digital with a customer mindset, as well as looking after the marketing activity that we do. What I love most about events, effectively, is the people. I think I've met some incredible people over the last 30 years. Everyone that works in events is dynamic, passionate, motivated, full of ideas, and I think that's what keeps everything fresh and moving forward. So, yeah, looking forward to the next few years now. Hopefully, it'll be a bit smoother post-pandemic.
Yeah, your lips to God's ears. So, Chris, please tell us about yourself.
Yeah, hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Olarte, Senior Marketing Executive at Informa Markets Healthcare Division. I am currently based in Dubai and in charge of marketing and promotion of Arab Health Congress and Florida International Medical Expo. What do I love about events? I think it's seeing coming it to life, like whatever you worked hard for months and effort you put into, seeing the people coming in, visitors on the first day, and I think the after party. I think that feeling of delivering a successful event, that's what I love about it. Yeah.
And that after party is always well deserved by the end of an event, I'm sure. I can only imagine after the buildup of a small city and bringing together a small city of people, how satisfying it is to all get together and enjoy that after party with all those great people, like Isabel mentioned. And that's what I love about events as well. My passion and InGo's passion for events started with realizing how many great people you all bring together in an event, and thinking about how you can make sure the right people connect and the right people get into the room. I'm Michael Barnett, founder of InGo. Our company's passionate about growing events and connecting their members, and we've now done it for over 10 million event participants. So that was an exciting achievement in the last year. But InGo is also only a part of the innovation and drive and vision we're seeing you all achieve at Informa. And Isabel, you've been building your own registration platform, making it more social and building a community by adding InGo in. Now you're expanding that with video and a powerful platform there. So you're doing some really exciting things. And so tell us what you're seeing drive that. How have events changed in the pandemic?
Gosh, so I thought I'd seen it all in events. I've worked here for so long, and I've seen the dot-com boom and bust, and recessions, and then the pandemic came along, and I'd seen nothing like this in my entire history of working in the event space. And I think before the pandemic, we very much looked at the delivery of a great physical event experience, and that's what our sole purpose was, and we wanted to make sure that we delivered on an excellent networking and content experience for our customers, but delivered in a physical space. And I think the pandemic's changed all of that, because now digital is factored into the thinking around every single content and networking experience that we create. I think one of the key learnings that we've had from running our digital events throughout 2020, we had to run a lot. So we had to pivot 400 events really rapidly from being planned to run physically to running digitally. And one of the upsides that came out of that is that we now know so much more about our customers. We have a lot more data on their behavior. We can tell what content they're consuming, how long they're consuming it for, which booths they're visiting, who they're meeting with, what questions they're asking to the stage, even what they say on the chat. And so that gives us a much richer picture of the kind of content and networking experiences that we need to provide. So it's really fueling our future product. Now that we're returning to the physical events, we don't want to lose that data. Of course, in the past, we've done things like RFID or NFC. That doesn't give us the depth or the richness of the information that we've been able to get through working on a digital platform. So we're currently working with our platform provider to create an app which almost acts as the bridge between the digital and the physical events. And for the customer, it's almost like a remote control for their event, so that they can see who else is in the room with them, and they can use it to ask questions and book meetings, check into content sessions, other activities like that. And of course, every interaction that they have with the app becomes great data for us. And I think data is the new fuel of the business. And I think that's what the pandemic's brought with us. It's brought that realization that data is so important for us moving forward.
It's a great point on data and the value of it. And I'm curious, is that why you're stepping further into digital and stepping deeper into digital because at the same time, we're seeing, I think, if you look at a lot of the industry reports that have come out, really bad NPS scores on a lot of events, and a lot of people pulling back on digital in 2021 and especially going into 2022. So that's quite a contrast to what you're saying. Is that data the big driver, or what's driving that push into digital for you?
Yeah, I think it's data and it's also audience. So, I'm not saying that digital's supplanting our physical events. It's absolutely not. Physical events are an integral part of our product mix. But digital is now going to be woven into all of that. People have shown that they like consuming content digitally. What they don't like is consuming it for 8 hours a day for 3 or 4 days on end. That's not a great experience. But it reduces the barriers of access that were previously there for lots of audiences. And we discovered during the height of the pandemic that we were attracting about 45% new audiences, people who couldn't access our product previously, maybe due to geography or seniority or price point. So, digital's brought with it that whole new audience, and they also still bring with them good margin. Digital events are a much better margin than physical event. And we don't want to leave those audiences behind now that we return to running physical events. And as I say, there's money to be made. So, we're doing it in two ways. We are doing some digital-only products, and that's going to be predicated on high productivity, rapid turnaround style events, which, we don't need to have lots and lots of people at, but if they're of the moment content or even evergreen content, if we start seeing critical mass gather around those topics, then potentially that's future physical product for us. But the other thing we're doing is hybrid events. So we're embedding that digital experience into the physical event as well, so that we're connecting digital and physical audiences, and that we're building that data that I spoke about a moment ago.
And when you mention connecting digital and physical audiences, that's a tricky proposition. And I know you touched on the app earlier, but can you give us a little more color on what does it actually look like? How do I share an experience while in real life with somebody digitally, or vice versa? Love the idea of an event remote control also, by the way.
Yeah, so the app is that bridge. So the event is set up both on the digital platform, and it also runs physically. So every registrant will be set up on the digital platform, and they'll use the app to make connections and see who's consuming the content at the same time as them, and potentially reach out to them and book meetings and chat with them. So, the physical people in the room can see who else is in the room physically, but they can also see who's in the room with them digitally and start making those connections.
So what do you think? And I know this is a really hard question to answer, but let me actually start with a first step. Let's think about 3 years out, 4 years out. What are the big forces that are underlying change that you see that are going to drive whatever the events look like in 2025, 2026?
For us, I think we're building digital into the fabric of what we do. It's not a sideshow, it's an integral part of our strategy, and we've got a plan for driving revenue through it. So, I think other events businesses will be doing the same thing. You know, we've realized that we can monetize the content from digital multiple times. You know, firstly, as the event is held. Secondly, we can make that available on demand and monetize it again. And thirdly, we can take the content, curate it, repurpose it so that it's monetizable again. You know, I don't think we're ever going to go back to 2019. The pandemic has been a real catalyst for change. It's forced the business and other businesses to review their business models and their product mixes in a way that we didn't have to do until recently. I also think that digital's raised the bar of expectations around physical events, actually, for our customers, you know, particularly our sponsors. Through the pandemic, only hosting digital events, we've been able to give them much more in-depth data about the people that are interacting with their content and their propositions. And now that things are stabilizing somewhat, I think they're expecting the same from the physical experiences as well. I think for attendees, they've been starved of social contact. So I think there's going to be much more emphasis on networking opportunities and social experiences at physical events. And I think the content may be delivered more effectively by digital. Sounds very binary, and I don't mean to make it sound as black and white as that. But I do think experiences will shift towards different formats for different outcomes.
And Chris, you've been doing some. I think that's a great feedback on the raising the bar of what sponsors and exhibitors want, right? With the additional demands of data and insight and precise audience targeting. Those are some big forces that are now going to permanently change, right? The seal is off on what people expect to get out of an event. You can't after years of now getting Google ads and LinkedIn ads and Facebook ads and email marketing that's all extremely well targeted. I think, Isabel, to your point, now that those same sets of expectations with lots of analytics, lots of insight, lots of targeting are coming over to the events world. And so, Chris, you've been doing some really great stuff with your speakers and sponsors, with incentivizing them, with getting them to engage more in promoting the event. But let's start with, what are the challenges? Where did you start in terms of challenges looking at your events and your portfolio? Similar, different from what Isabel's been seeing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good question. I think one of the challenges we're really looking into is spreading awareness to our target persona. For healthcare shows, we've got different persona, and we really want to tap into these new contacts, as Isabel said. We want our current attendees to really make noise about their participation on the show through social media. And through this, they, create awareness to their industry contacts, which also are target audience for the show. I think another thing is getting them engaged. We love hearing feedback from our customers, and one of the things that I think ways to get this is through social media, and we've seen this during our preparation for our hybrid show, wherein we are getting messages of people asking if this is happening, if the show is pushing through, and things like that. But on the other hand, we have confirmed exhibitors and attendees who are also posting how excited they are and looking forward to exhibiting to the show. I think that itself is a good marketing for us.
It's a great point. I was just reading the Deloitte article on the future of B2B markets and future of B2B travel. And one of the points they made is that it's a lot of competition that ultimately drives B2B travel. And I think, to your point, if I see and a competitor is going to an event and going to meet with my customers or my prospects, all of a sudden my desire to go to that event is going to be dramatically higher. All of a sudden I feel like I have to be at that event. Is that what you're pulling at when you talk about engagement in industry? Exactly.
Like, we want to create this, I would say, FOMO, for those of you who don't know, that fear of missing out. If your industry colleagues are posting about attending Herb Health, for example, why aren't you? So this creates that feeling of sense of belonging as well. within the healthcare community. So this is what we want to do, and this is what I'm excited about using InGo.
I love that point. I want to pull on that. So professional FOMO and connecting people, creating a sense of belonging, right? So it's by creating community, you then also create a desire to be in that community, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Can you expand a little bit on how you've used InGo to do that?
Yeah, so it has differed. We really rethink of how we do things with InGo. From last year when we had our first online show, we try to think of ways on how we can engage them. Different campaigns depending on our target geo or target market, on how they react and the behavior. I think that's where we map out our activities through InGo. One of the example I would say is the share and win competition. So if an exhibitor or a sponsor or a speaker, for example, share about his or her participation through social media, and it got a lot of what do you call this?
Clicks, acquisitions.
Clicks, acquisitions, yes. And then they would get something, These are some of the things that we are trying to do aside from the email campaigns and social media campaigns that we're doing. So it really depends on, we don't have a standard activity of what we do with InGo, but it depends on how your market reacts on it. But then we put it there as organic. We see organic posts from our exhibitors and sponsors sharing about their participation. So we really like to tap into those new contacts.
Love it. And Isabel, on this topic of expanding reach and getting to more people, as you look at that innovation around syndicating content and reusing content, how does that interact with social, engaging more people, building audience, and community building?
I mean, I think that influencer marketing is probably one of the most important things that we can do at the moment. The power of the spoken word or the written word from people that you trust and people that you look up to within the industry. That's going to be much more convincing than any email that we can send out, or even any telesales call that we can do. I think other people promoting our events on our behalf is vital, and InGo is pivotal to that. Through InGo, we can use our own key stakeholders and get them to influence their audiences and their networks and their connections, and that's been incredibly powerful for us as a business. And as I say, I think if you look at things like response per thousand, more traditional channels are getting, let's say, 0.5 of a person per thousand registering, whereas you can get by InGo somebody to sell their to their network their experience of the event, or the fact that they are going to be attending. Why don't they join them? Then we're seeing much more like 80 people per thousand. I mean, that's a massive amplification. So I really think that tapping into those influencer networks is vital.
Yeah, and that's where you both have pushed us, and it's been great working with you on some of the speaker and sponsor functionality, because I think what we've learned is that they've got a lot of the networks that are so valuable to tap into, that your attendees are able to drive lots of growth. But if they're able to drive lots of growth, then the sponsors and the speakers are also able to, and probably have knock-on effects to attracting more sponsors and more exhibitors as well, I would imagine. I love this point about the other marketing channels out there. What are you seeing? Well, I've heard from a lot of CMOs that they're having trouble getting leads for two reasons. One, they don't have physical events, which I think is good news for you both. And so the lack of physical events is constricting their ability to get leads. And then the other part is, because there's no physical events, there's so much saturation in digital channels, on email, on Google, on all these other platforms. There's just so many people bidding on the different targeting words and different demographics. Have you seen that as well?
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely have. I mean, actually, I think email has probably picked up a little bit as a marketing channel for us. If we look at our own data and our own customer base, third-party data doesn't work at all well for email. We also found quite a lot of value in our delegate sales teams, so our telesales channel, because those personal relationships have been really vital for conversion, and also for selling the value of the digital product. But as you say, search engine marketing, pay-per-click, not particularly effective. So yeah, anything around influencing and advocacy is much more powerful. Well, that's what we're finding at the moment, anyway.
Yeah. So to that point, what are the other challenges you're seeing going forward? I know you mentioned that kind of that hybrid data experience, right? I can see how long you watched a video for a sponsor or exhibitor, but it's much harder to track if they were just in a networking hall, how much time they got with a prospect or a customer. So I think that's a really interesting challenge. But what are the other challenges you're seeing as we go forward, and opportunities as well in those challenges?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are both. So one of the challenges that we're seeing internally is there's a very, very different cadence between physical and digital events. So I think you need different teams who can work to different timescales and different demands. I think it calls into question some of our traditional team structures. For example, within production or delivery, we might need different teams working on different types of product. I think another challenge is making sure that our products are fresh and interesting and delivered in a low friction way. If you've got a digital product which has got loads of logins or confusing user experiences, that's definitely going to be a turn off. And there are so many businesses now who do digital really well, that we're not going to have multiple opportunities to earn their loyalty. So we need to get it right first time. And I think the other thing is overcoming digital fatigue. I think so many people are zoomed out throughout the last year that we've got to keep making sure that our products are of the right length, got the right kind of speakers on it, really are enjoyable to attend, and are going to stop people doing their emails at the same time as experiencing them. So that's on us. We've just got to make sure that the right product's out there, and that we're creating an optimum experience. I mean, opportunities. I think there are loads of opportunities. I think there are loads of opportunities in wider audiences, more data, connecting people. Video. I think is huge. There's so much more we can do with that. As I said earlier, we can take content, repackage it, repurpose it, look at new ways of monetizing it. So, it's challenging times, but it's interesting times. And I think for the events industry, it's going to be a roller coaster, but hopefully one which is a great ride.
I would imagine this is an exciting time after years of incremental change to events and improvements and innovation. Now everything's up for grabs in terms of what you can do and the opportunities to go after. Chris, what are you seeing for challenges and opportunities in the industry?
Yeah, I think just to add on to Isabel's point, I think for us, it's also stretching our abilities as marketeers, not only for our customers, but also within our team. You're not only an event professional, you're an event professional with creative skills, with data skills. So we kind of have to rewire our thinking and see how we can fit into this challenging time, and see what we can add more and do more. And adding to that, from that side of our customers, I think they're not really into digital. Most of them, yes, but then some are still traditional. They still want to see flyers and printed collaterals. So these are the things that we are seeing and we are addressing too. So how are we gonna send that messaging to them where in fact they're not really looking into socials or not really reading emails? And I think it's very interesting, as what Isabel said, with challenges comes the opportunity. So this is something that we're really excited to look into and do something.
I think sustainability is another that we're going to have to address as an industry. because all businesses are now under different pressures around air travel, reusable stands at trade shows, that kind of thing. I think we've got to up our game. So I think that's a challenge for the whole events industry to address. And I think if we don't address it, then I think we're going to suffer.
What do you see as the solutions or paths forward on sustainability? I think that's a great topic and something we've spent a lot of time thinking about ourselves. Of how do you make an argument for building a small city worth of material and structures and booths and bringing all the people together? How do you think about sustainability going forward?
I mean, you're right. I mean, every show that we build brings with it, a planetary impact. But I think there are lots of things that we can do to offset that. We're doing very small things like giving our customers, giving them the opportunity to offset the value of their flights as they register, so we can make it super easy for them to do that. We're doing small things like taking away paper agendas and pushing that through the app. And then we're doing bigger things like we're investing in a mangrove project to try and push forward as the customers move around the events, that they're, in exchange for giving us their data, we're giving them an investment in a sustainable project, and we're planting mangroves on their behalf. So it might not be always that we recycle every carpet, but we need to start moving forward in that direction. I think there are big things that we can do and little things that we can do, and it's not going to happen overnight or tomorrow. And I'm certainly not a sustainability expert, so please don't. I'm sure there are people who are much more articulate on this subject than I am, but I think we have to start addressing it. I think we have to start looking at it more intensively as an industry, and as I say, overcome the barriers to making that happen. And I think it's highly possible. We've just got to get on with it, and maybe we need to collaborate as an industry to look at different ways that we can reduce our impact on the planet.
Chris, anything there?
Just to add on to that, and not only for the environment, I think as a business, we also have this commitment to have a positive impact on the social industry and communities that we work within. So I think what we're trying to do is to help enrich the knowledge on healthcare, just to improve, patient care, and we help these doctors through our educational grants. I think that's one of the things that we're really pushing forward this year and in the coming years.
Yeah, two things on that. I think one of the things that you hear a lot, but I'm excited. We're thinking a lot about how do we measure it. Number of flights reduced seems like a really big impact of the industry potentially, that rather than having to fly around to 10, 15, 20 different client meetings and customer meetings, can I do all of that at one event? And what's the impact on the environment of that? I'm sure that's not the entire solution. There's a lot of math and modeling needs to be done there, but I think that's an important thing. And I think if we can, to Isabel and Chris, your points, if we can really understand the data and make it less serendipitous, like know that we're going to get the value and know we're going to have those meetings and drive those relationships forward without the need for additional flights, that could be a really meaningful impact. And Chris, also to your point, the Informa Walk the World program has been a great thing to see as it hits other offices over and over, with all these different causes being pushed forward and all these different efforts to make the world better. It's been great to see that. But we only got a couple minutes left, so I would love to hear if somebody's out there thinking about some marketing tool that they're thinking about buying and implementing, and they're considering InGo, what piece of advice would you give them?
Do it. We've only had great experiences of working with InGo. I think the account team are fantastic, and we've seen great results from it. So I would encourage everybody to have a look. Have the conversations with the InGo team and move forward, because as I say, we've only had great results.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Isabel. Oh, yeah, please, Chris.
Just go ahead with it. I think in addition to what you do on your social media organically, I think let the speakers or sponsors or exhibitors talk for you over social media with this customized banners that they have. It's not something that you would create yourself. It is embedded in the program, so less time for you to do all that as a marketer, I would say. So just go for it.
Yeah, and thanks for touching on that, Chris. I'll mention this as we wrap up. We've spent a lot of time on that. We're now calling My Share functionality, so that you can have all your speakers and sponsors posting a personalized graphic in seconds rather than have to create each individualized graphic. And it was great to see you push that and try that on FIME. So thank you. And we're excited also to be doing it more and more on Connect with both the events and the videos. So thank you both. This is great. Really love the conversation.
You're welcome. I hope our audience gets something out of it.
Oh, I'm sure they will. I think you guys are sharing really brilliant insights, and you're doing, like I said it from the beginning, you're really pushing innovation on both the physical events, the digital events, and how they intersect. I think it's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Have a great day or evening.